Welcome to the Big Brand Hack, where we break down what big brands do to market themselves. The reason why we're doing this is so smaller businesses can do it too. Of course, the budget will be a little smaller, but we are aiming for the same big results. So my name is Serene Loong, and I have been helping big brands sell themselves since 1999. Have you ever wondered, what would the world have lost if your company didn't exist? That's a great question for you to keep in mind as we dive into today's topic, which is featuring the latest Cannes Lion 2019 Creative Strategy winner, Volvo's the EVA initiative.
Women are 71% more likely to be injured in a car crash and 17% more likely to die. The reason? Most cars are tested on male crash test dummies. But not at Volvo. They have collected real-world data since the 1970s to learn what happens during a collision, regardless of size or gender. What if we could use this data to make all cars safer for women? Introducing the EVA initiative. We collected all of Volvo's research and made it available to everyone in a digital library consisting of data from more than 43,000 collisions and 72,000 people. For the first time ever, anyone could download the research and learn how it has led to some of Volvo's most innovative safety systems. To make the data more human, we gave the numbers a face and created a film that showed how this injustice affects women in a personal and direct way. EVA was introduced at a live-streamed event where journalists and competing brands could tune in.
The data helped us to understand the mechanism and the importance for all people. And we want the rest of the industry to do the same.
Then we launched a global campaign across a wide range of media. The initiative quickly became news and sparked a global conversation about equal road safety.
The event of kind of whiplash and injuries like this. But also they're not just keeping the data for themselves. This data and analysis that they've done is also on their website. So it's open to all car manufacturers to kind of improve safety for women in particular.
But most importantly, this will make all cars safer for everyone.
Oh wow, that was something. To talk about this today, we are very honored to have my very old pal, Angela Koch.
Hey Serene, so happy to be here. This topic is really around vision and mission, which is something as an ex-strategy director and advertising agency that's super close to my heart. The idea of making cars safe for everyone is really, really powerful. And what they've done in order to do that sort of in a very substantial way with their data that you referred to was really exciting. And of course, the great thing about Volvo is this is not a new idea for them, really, that safety is something that we expect from Volvo. But this is a very new way to bring that message to the market. So as a strategist, I was really excited by it.
As a creative ex-copywriter, former creative director, I was really excited to see a piece of marketing that is so purpose-driven.
Right.
And at the end of the day, you create a piece of work because you have a message to send out. And this was more than just a message. It was actually, it was actions. It was very actionable. Things that even their competitors could do, which is to download all that data points and create whatever other car it is. Right. And that is truly so generous.
I think for me, if you think about the origins of this initiative, actually it starts way back in the 1970s when they actually started collecting this information. And so whoever came up with this creative strategy for Volvo, of course, knew that they had lots of safety initiatives, but needed to sort of go digging in the past, if you like, to find some substantial stuff that they've been doing, that they have been collecting amazing data on, I think it was about 70,000 people who've been in car crashes over the last 40 years. And so to go and find that information and to figure out actually this is something that Volvo is prepared and has been sharing with the world, and then to say, let's go and tell the world about it, I think is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, in fact, and it's been since the very beginning of Volvo's inception in 1927, was
Right,
it?
yeah.
Whereby they always have had an emphasis on safety and reliability. So actually, I went to the website before we came on, and they have a vision. They call it Vision 2020. And it is one of the most ambitious safety visions in the automotive industries. Their aim is that no one should be killed or seriously injured in a new Volvo by 2020.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's bold, and I think the fact is that they're not even just thinking about themselves. The fact is that they're concerned about all kinds of accidents, and so the fact that they want even the whole industry to be safer, and they're prepared to sort of bequeath this information to the industry is pretty remarkable. I mean, I was quite shocked that crash test dummies, which is the information they shared with us, right, is that they're designed for men, and female bodies are different in terms of things like height and how we sit in a car and
weight distribution.
Exactly. And how we respond. Obviously, one of the areas I was reading about when I looked at the safety aspects on their website was that the female chest even, it's not as strong as a male's. And so how we respond to an impact is different. And it was only apparently in 95 that they started using even a female crash test dummy at Volvo. And then a little bit later they even used, I think it was in year 2000, they used a pregnant woman. And so all of these sort of realizing, goodness me, we've been testing on the bodies of men, and of course how they respond to accidents are different. And so I thought even as a consumer, I'm like, wow, that's a big secret of the testing industry in the car and automobile industry. I'm like, goodness me, everyone needs to know this.
I think for me, the key takeaway that I think our entrepreneurs can really use is to realize the importance of purpose-driven marketing. A lot of companies, they would have what you call vision and mission statements to guide them. And really, they are not just overall for the company. It's actually really important for marketing as well as non-marketing functions. And I do see that there's a lot of confusion between vision and mission. So the statement that I read earlier, that no one should be killed or seriously injured in a new Volvo by 2020, that's actually a vision statement. So basically they are looking into the future as to what they can create, whereas a mission is really how they're going to get it done, right?
They're committing to certain key actions in the long term in order to get there. And so I think part of it, of course, they got so many safety initiatives, don't they? But I think the key thing about this EVA one is the fact that they're using information to try and protect all kinds of people, men, women, children, in car accidents. And so I think I think their mission and vision is pretty clear. Also, if you look at it, they've been very consistent from 1927 all the way to now. They've had lots of campaigns around safety, right? But they've been always pretty clear about who they are. And I think for this one, what's clear is that this wasn't some veneer that someone went and manufactured, some communication from nowhere. It's got a very substantial database that's really underpinning it. And I think, for any brand, whether you're a big brand like Volvo or a much smaller sort of entrepreneurial brand, there will be some truth in your past, perhaps, or some truth about what you're good at or what your customers think you excel at, that you should be using and harnessing and to tell the story of who you are. Yeah.
So you're pointing to how important it is to be authentic, to be true to your core. And so that's definitely one of the keys of creating a really compelling vision and mission. The other one that I think is really crucial is sometimes I think we tend to be a bit unambitious and we think a little too small. When it comes to mission and vision, I think we should go bigger, bolder, and for the long haul. I mean, look at that. I mean, Volvo has been doing the same vision mission literally since 1927. And whatever that vision and mission is, it needs to be really clear and inspiring.
Right.
And if you can kind of encapsulate it in one short sentence,
Sure.
then that would be the kind of, I would say, trick.
Well, the ultimate is obviously you want some clarity, don't you? You
Yes.
want it to be able to communicate internally to your employees as well as other stakeholders. But I feel what Volvo did really well, which I think is a good lesson for entrepreneurs, is finding a concrete way to manifest that vision. In other words, if there can be an action, and if that action is something people can observe, that is a symbol of this is what we mean by being committed to safety, for example. This is what we mean by trying to eradicate all accidents by 2020. Here is an action or a platform or initiative that we are sort of, putting our money where our mouth is here. And so I think trying to find those little actionable opportunities, I think, is important. Otherwise, sometimes mission vision can be the set of words on a wall in a lobby.
Yeah.
And people know the words, but they don't really feel it, and they don't really know what does it mean for me as an employee in terms of how I should act. And so I think finding those opportunities to make it visible and concrete, I think, is one of the sort of big challenges for brands today, is to find those opportunities.
This, actually, what you're saying reminds me of a story that I've heard. This happened at NASA, so the space agency of the US.
Yep.
And we heard that President JFK was doing a visit to NASA. And as he was walking around doing the grand tour, he saw a janitor. And he went up to the man and said, so what do you do here at NASA? So he didn't know he was a janitor at that point, and except that he was holding a broom. And what that man said was, I'm helping to put a man on the moon.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's clarity, and it's something that, even the janitor bought into, and he's very proud to be working at NASA for that very reason.
Yeah, everybody needs to see their role, isn't it, in terms of however big or small they contribute to that vision, and to hold it in your mind, not just something that once a year at an annual meeting or retreat exactly that it gets talked about, but it's every action every day is sort of lived through that vision. That's really the ultimate, if you can get there.
So like we were saying, Volvo since 1927, it has changed hands several times in terms of owners. I think it was owned by Ford at one point. It's currently owned by the Chinese. I think it's by Geely. And despite all these change of ownership, Volvo has stuck to their guns in terms of their vision and their mission. Yeah. So that's really exemplary. The other thing that I would like to add regarding the vision and mission, because I see it too often. So I step into a boardroom and they've got it stuck up there on the wall. And it kind of irates me because it will say something like, and our mission is to maximize shareholder value or something to that effect.
That doesn't help the employees know exactly how to behave. I think in terms of mission, you've always got to provide that clear thing of how we do what we do. And I think also attached to that is this whole element of values, which is another sort of pet peeve of mine, which is sort of, we tend to see these words like teamwork or to be innovative or we want to be reliable, etc. But I think if you really make those values clear and you create actions around those values, it becomes much more powerful. And I think Volvo did it beautifully. If you think about them as an organization, clearly they value that this safety information that they have should be given to an entire community. They could have chosen to keep this as a competitive advantage, which would be crazy, but they could have, right? But I think as an organization, they clearly are very community-minded.
Yeah.
And see themselves as maybe having some responsibility towards the entire automobile community.
Right.
And so I think having those values really clear helps also inform how you can act as well. Yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify, I have nothing against maximizing shareholder value. I think profits are a wonderful thing. They keep a business going. Now, the reason why I brought it up is because it's a given if you're a commercial business. If you're not a non-profit, clearly you have to maximize shareholder value. So really, it doesn't get to the heart of what the employees are about, what lights them up and brings them to work every day. And there's this fantastic question that I heard that I think helps an entrepreneur really think about what is their vision for the company. And that question actually came from, do you remember Kate Bristol?
Yes, of course. Our beloved Kate from MNC Saatchi days.
Yes. So the question she asked was, if your company ceased to exist, what would the world have lost?
Right.
I think that's a really powerful question.
It does, because it says, you can't be just doing what anyone else is doing. You need to create your own unique impact, or at least strive to do so. And if the world doesn't need you, then you might need to rethink exactly what it is you're there to do. And I can recall that question actually, and many a client sitting in a room and asking the question, and it can be a bit of an uncomfortable one, right? Because you can't answer it.
But it really elevates, the thinking.
Definitely.
It really gets to the core of the company's reason of being.
Yeah.
And I think, it's a really purpose-driven question that can really add so much value to the community as well as to the company and the staff. Right. Yeah.
I think, sometimes when you see these visions, they can be a bit blah, blah. And I think I would urge any entrepreneur who's trying to shape their purpose is to be daring, to be bold, and find, some ambitious vision that can really galvanize people.
So finally, on a last thought, I wanted to mention, some of you might be thinking, hey, this since 1927, how can it still be relevant today? So really chunk up to something that is relates to human beings and our well-being. I think you will be in a safe space. And the other thing that I think Volvo has done well is that this particular campaign is very relevant to what's trending today. If you look at it, we have had last year, like 2018, Saudi Arabia lifted the ban on female driving.
That's right.
Yep, and then you have this whole #MeToo movement. And so there's this whole female independence / empowerment movement that probably should have started long time ago, but it's only really started to become much more
and
predominant.
Even added to that is the whole question of diversity and not just catering for one point of view, right? And I think realizing that we all come in different shapes and sizes, and so safety needs to address all of those different shapes and sizes. So I think it's very, very topical for today.
And not just that, it's also good for business, because traditionally, cars have been bought by men.
That's right.
But if you really want to grow that business, you need to target a new segment. And that's exactly what Volvo has done.
Right.
Yeah. So, purpose-driven marketing. So those are some of the ways that entrepreneurs can really do purpose-driven marketing, which really starts to elevate the conversation and connect with people, at a much deeper level. And that's the kind of advertising that really goes viral. So you also get perhaps free media along the way. So that's what we have for you today. Do go to www.bigbrandhack.com to download more episodes where basically we would hack or decode big brands on how they sell themselves, but more importantly, how you can apply these learnings to your business. It's a free resource, and it's just one way that we give back as well. So thanks for listening to The Big Brand Hack. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you, Serene.